Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our last of our tandem videos here. We've been doing this for in Brian's channel's case, Brian Massey, by the way, Massey's Main Entertainment, and Doc. We've been collaborating on a series of videos for the last 11 months. We're wrapping it up today. We've done 35 plus the two doubles or six doubles, 41 videos on Brian's channel, music, perfect albums, 1965 to 1999. Today we're going on our 20th from 1980 to 1999. Our last tandem video together. We're going to keep doing videos together, but we just want to end this series at this point and move on to other material. We sort of played it out. It was fun doing it, a great journey. Glad we did it. It took a long time. Got a good response from our regular people, our regular commenters and viewers, and it's drawn some positive buzz, which we all appreciate. But this is it. We're going to wrap up the journey today. Talk a little bit more about this as we end the show. But we want to get into 1999. An interesting year for movies. There's some good. There's some mediocre. The top 10 was tough to do because we were talking off camera about how even the ones that made our list, for the most part, have some flaws. They're not perfect films. They're not necessarily memorable films. We're going to pick out the 10 that we latch on to the most, and we just want to shout them out as being decent films. So, guys, long road to get here from actually 1965 to 1999 when you go from the music, and then we decided in 80 to double up and do the movie. So it's been a nice run. Hopefully we'll have another series that can equal or outdo this one, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it was like you said, I think you summarized 99 the way it is too. But yeah, it's a great run to get here through the 20 years of movies and 35 years of music behind it that you guys have on your channels. It's been a blast doing it. I think we're ending at the right time on the movie side too, as we talk about on Brian's channel with the music. I think it's hitting at the right spot right now to probably just shut the door on where the movies really go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think last couple of years, for all the media, it was a little tougher. I think the quality is suffering a little bit. I think because maybe the industry was changing in music and really in film too. I mean, the best film wasn't necessarily being even put in nominating, in contention. It's mostly it was basically about studios throwing money at awards and hoping for the best, and you can see the quality drop. And I got some good films on here, but I won't ever say that they're great. Right. That they'll be among the top elite films that I enjoy in my life. So, but
and when we say we're ending this series. We'll still do movie videos. They just won't be in this yearly format like we've been doing. So we're going to come up with some new angles, some new ways of presenting material. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But anyway, tonight's order is Doc, Brian, and myself. We'll have a wrap up at the end just to talk about where we've come from. So Doc, do the honors. And 1999, 10 through 1.
10 through 1. So 99, it's going to be a very personal list for me. And probably, if I had to defend myself, I'll just go back to what Brian touched on. They're not the best of the best in some senses, but yeah, there's some good movies and definitely some rewatchable stuff in here, but it's rewatchable for Doc. That's the way my list is going to look like. So
that's the way it should be, too.
Yeah. I'm going to start off at number 10, man. My number 10 is Bowfinger. At number 10, I find this to be one of the more underrated comedies probably the last 20 or 30 years, man, or whatever we're at now, right? So yeah, let's say 23 years. I'd say this would be one that gets overlooked, doesn't get talked about at all. It's really, like, it's witty, it's smart, it's Steve Martin, it's Eddie Murphy, it's Terrence Stamp, it's Heather Graham, it's Eddie Murphy plays a couple of characters in this movie. So like it's a slapstick kind of comedy and stuff in some sense, but just a little story about Steve Martin trying to make a movie in Hollywood, and he can't get his A-list actor to get on board, and he starts filming him on the side of the streets and stuff like this. And it turns out he's got a twin brother and uses him to fill in when he needs him. So it's just I just find it to be a very comical flick, man, if you want the truth. And That's a go back and rewatch for me. So Bowfinger's making my list, man. So I think it's, like I said, underrated for the time. Number 9. This will probably go back to something that Rich touched on. So there's some flaws in some of these movies, but I still like the movies. So I got Summer of Sam coming in at number 9.
Yeah, good choice.
Thanks. Spike Lee flick. I think as we've lived over the last 20 years here, we all kind of like Spike Lee flicks, I think at one level or another. So which is kind of cool. The story of let's face it, this is the Son of Sam, man. This is Berkowitz, New York, 70s, terrorizing New York. Really is what's going on, and like it's just shot from a group's perspective.
Yeah.
Geez, I'm trying to think of who the lead actor is now. John
Leguizamo.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
And Mia Sorvino, I think, is his girlfriend in it.
Yeah. Yep. And
just
Adrian
a group
Brody.
shot with the Italians, and Adrian Brody's in it.
Yeah.
I think. So there's just a group of gangs and stuff like this, but it's told in that perspective and how people were really on edge in the city and stuff like that when it was all going on, and how it went overboard on something. Great soundtrack in this movie too, top notch there, man. So, Summer Sam, still like the movie, man. Like I said, flaws. We're gonna see that throughout this list, but still definitely a watchable flick, man. Very good. I got Man on the Moon coming in right behind it. Listen, this is a different kind of flick. There's no getting around it. It's not one you're gonna go back and watch all the time either. But I liked it when it came out for one reason. It's still the reason that I kind of like it now. It's because of Jim Carrey. If you want the truth, there's some side characters and stuff. You know, Paul Giamatti's in it and different things. But the story about Andy Kaufman and the Man on the Moon is what this is. It's his life story. It's a biopic, and if you want to get right down to it, Jim Carrey's fantastic as it, man. There's nobody else could have done it. I'll tell you that right now. You're not pulling somebody else out of Hollywood to go do this.
No.
He's the guy that could do it. I think he does a fantastic job with it. Like I said, it's not a grand slam or home run with me on the movie side of things, but I do respect a lot of parts of it and still like it. And it's based on Jim Carrey's performance, if you want the truth.
Yep.
Number 7, got a different kind of flick for me, man. So, but I kind of like I like the movie. Kind of like the movie. I do like the movie, and I like Cooper. I like Chris Cooper, Jake Gyllenhaal. I got October Sky coming in at number 7, man.
Nice pick there. I like that.
Another biopic here. You know, it's about some kids seeing the Russian Sputnik going up in space or whatever, and they get inspired to build their own rocket ships and stuff like this.
Yeah.
A little bit of a true story behind it, but I think the performances are really good. But there's a lot of undertone meanings to it with Jake Gyllenhaal and his father, Chris Cooper, working a coal mine in Virginia here, where it's he thinks his son's going to go lead one life, and his son wants to go do something else more on the space side of things and building rockets and different things. And that's what October Sky is about.
Yeah.
Leads to his son going on to having a great life in NASA. So, but there is a power struggle between a father-son in here too, and it actually gets pretty emotional at times too. So, I like the way the movie was done. That's why it's making my list. Number 6, I got The Hurricane. Number 6. Now this is here's another bio one, right? So, guess I'm going to roll with these, but
yeah,
Denzel. Robin Hurricane Carter, boxer, 60s, wrongfully accused of something that, you know, or is he or isn't wrongfully accused. You find out in the movie, but it's just a power struggle, you know, of almost like cops and, you know, racism and different things as the undertone to the story. But Denzel's fantastic in this role, man. Another one that, you know, he carries the whole thing, man. He's in the whole bloody thing too. You know, there's probably like 5 scenes that he's not in the movie, but it's a great watch. The Hurricane is an acting-driven performance, and it's a Norm Jewison movie, so it's really well done, man. That's all I can tell you about the struggles that he had and where it goes from him, and a lot of time in prison. He's even our guy there, Clancy Brown, turned out to be not a bad guy in a prison scene sometimes. So that's a rarity there too. So
Yeah.
number 5, I got The Insider. Always liked this movie. I don't think you can go wrong with Michael Mann. That's my take. I think we talk about him quite a bit over the years too. So one of his shorter movies, it's like 2.5 hours, something like that. So it's The Insider is almost like a thriller or political thriller, whatever you want to call it, something along those lines. Maybe not political thriller, but it's definitely a thriller. It's got some undertones to it where someone's going to give up some information that they have on the tobacco industry, and this is where it leads. And let's face it, Russell Crowe and Pacino are the two guys that are. Pacino's trying to pull some information out of Crowe, who's brilliant and knows exactly what's going on. My kind of flick, man. Drama-driven, acting-driven. Probably gets overlooked in a lot of senses, I guess, is even Pacino's role, because he's very good in that movie as well, man. So we say that quite often, or I say it quite often every time Pacino's in a movie, but I think it's rightfully so too. Number 4, I got The Fight Club here. Maybe Ed Norton needs a lot more love than should be doing something. I don't know, man. Once again, this is a Lynch. This isn't a mind F from Lynch again, right? So this is what you're going to get with Linus flicks, and here he is again. So we're going to tell you, it's really shot really well. This is a cycle. I don't even know what we call this movie. I think it's a mind F is what it is.
Right.
Insomnia, and what's real, what's not real as the story unfolds with Ed Norton and his character, and then Brad Pitt's character showing up and leading to Fight Club is what it's all about. And great twists and turns in the movie. It's if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't want to give it away on that level. But listen, you want to go watch a movie that's, like I said, visually it's awesome to look at, shot really, really well. I like that in the movie. I like the direction in the movie. It's fantastic. Acting's great. Story is just a twisted one that that's a rabbit hole, man. I don't even know what to tell you. Once you're in it, you're just flowing with it, man. It's Norton and Pitt that are driving it, especially when Pitt shows up. That's freaking fantastic. So love the movie, man. Still do. I gotta go with M. Night Shyamalan, man. I got The Sixth Sense at number 3. So I'm gonna rank my movies in the year that they're out. That's what I'm gonna say. That's the third best movie of the year, I think, in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Look, nobody saw the twist coming in this one either. I'll tell you that, especially in 1999 when you saw this in the theater. We've all seen it since. But it's one of those ones that you know the twist and you can still go back and watch it now and still enjoy the movie. So that's.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's what brings it up a tier for me. If you can go do that and still you already know what's coming, you still go back and watch it, and then the different twist and the way he shows it. Listen, this is it's well written. Obviously, it's really well written. It's in your hometown here, I think, too, Rich. Right? It's Philly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep. Bruce Willis. Haley Joel Osment is in this. Toni Collette's his mom.
I think Donnie Wahlberg's performance was great.
Yes.
For as little as he was in it, he was fantastic.
For 5 minutes of film, what a piece of acting, man.
Yes, that was awesome.
Job. Yep.
But you don't even know it at the time, right? When you think about when you're watching the movie, you're just watching the opening scene, blah blah blah, and then cuts. And Bruce Willis is very good in this movie, man. Very monotone, melodic. That's maybe one of his better or best of performances. So, Sixth Sense, I think, is a classic. He's done a couple. M. Night has. I really like. Unbreakable's another one I'd go into, but that's where I got this one at number 3. Man, this was tough for me. I got The Matrix at number 2 for me. This one just blew my mind, man. I don't know what to tell you. This is the furthest thing from probably everything I've talked about before, because acting driven and stuff like that. No, it's none of that stuff, man. It's a complete sci-fi flick. It's a great story. We talked about Dark City previously, and a couple years before, the year before, and this is just over the top completely. You never saw anything like this, man, when this came out. And you want to talk about a rewatchable, if this is your genre or something you can enjoy, go drop on The Matrix. 7 days a week, man. Doesn't matter when it's on. You could watch it. Who knew what batteries were all about when he got right down to it? Right? So, Matrix is just a classic. Fantastic scenes and top-notch cinematography in this flick too, man. So, especially the way they show you things. Worst movie? No, it's not American Beauty. As much as I probably could have had it here. So,
Yeah.
Wild Wild West is my winner for
Ooh,
First
Good
movie.
call. Good call.
Thank you.
it was pretty.
This is who's the guy that does this? Barry Sonnenfeld or something like that.
Yeah.
Sommerfeld. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's I don't think the guy's ever made one movie that I like, if you want the truth.
I don't
So,
think he has. No.
yeah. Men in Black. It's kind of a hard pass for me. He's done all these things, right? It's
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Men in Black.
comedy western Sputnik kind of thing that he's trying to do here. I think you had Will Smith and Kevin Kline in a comedy western that had deadpan comedy, man. This is nobody laughed once in this movie. I know I didn't. So that's my answer. Number one, man. I gotta go Green Mile. Number one.
Wow.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, man. Maybe I have a soft spot for Stephen King flicks or something like this. I don't know, but
R.I.P. Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan. I mean, listen, Armageddon didn't make my list before, so I creamed him in that one, I guess.
You creamed him in that one. That's right.
So, but I guess I'm making it up here now with the Green Mile. I think this is a fantastic story. There's some really good. The acting's really good in this, man. There's the guy who plays Percy is just a complete ass. Tom Hanks, I think, is one of the more underrated performances, if you want the truth. David Morse as a side with him is great. And
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's Wild Bill.
Rockwell is just
Tremendous.
Yeah. I mean, guy's in like 5 scenes and he steals every one that he's in. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And Michael Clark Duncan that you talked about there as well. So
yeah,
I just find the supernatural side of things, and it's a longer story, but I think the Green Mile is kind of like the masterpiece of '99, if you want my opinion. So I've got that at number one.
wow.
I just want to crap on Barry Sonnenfeld real quick. I have his discography or filmography right in front of me.
Thank you.
He made The Addams Family, piece of shit. Get Shorty, which none of us had on our list in '95.
Still a downer.
Men in Black. Here you go. Here's your Men in Black. Sucked. Wild Wild West. Men in Black 2. Men in Black 3. Real original. Get the hell out of here. The guy sucks. Horrible filmmaker. Anybody sees Barry Sonnenfeld on the title, walk away. It ain't worth it.
Wow.
Other than that, I got nothing. I got
Not
nothing.
bad though, Doc. We had 6 the same.
Oh, we did.
You guys are more in sync. I only had 2, Doc.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, I told you it was scattershot. It was going to be a lot of personal stuff. And I do give you a shout out for October Sky. That was this close to making my list.
Yeah,
Great movie.
really
I really
close.
like it. I like it a lot. A couple of the other ones are just not my kind of flick. You know how I feel about The Matrix.
I sure do.
Fight Club was a miss with me. I don't want to spoil my list. And, but I like, I'm not going to tell you which ones I have, but anyway, I'll get to it. I love your worst too. Wild Wild West. Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Runner up for me for my worst.
Oh, was it? Okay, good. You're in the ballpark here. Cool.
Not quite.
I'm not a Sonnenfeld guy. All due respect to Randy Nelson. He loves Get Shorty. That was his number one of '95. And
Wow.
Oh, was it?
he came down pretty hard on me for not having it on my list. I said, I don't like the flick. It didn't work for me. I saw it in the movies too, but not a fan.
Maybe he's just a fan of Elmore Leonard novels, right?
I think so. So. And, if it works for you, God bless. I mean, go for it. I mean, I wish all films work, but some of them are just misfires.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
sure I've got 2. I know 2 or 3 that I'm guessing are on your list, Rich, that I have written down that didn't make mine.
Probably
Just so I
so.
can say.
Yeah. All right, Brian, you're up.
All right. Number 10, this one's kind of oddball one, but it's one that I like to watch all the time, and I can't tell you why. I think it's hilarious. It's drop dead gorgeous.
Wow.
It's yeah, something about the movie. It's about the teenage girls that are entering this beauty contest so they can get these crowns, but move on also to other beauty contests. And it's really a big satire about the entire industry and just how ludicrous and stupid everything is. Just the total mishaps that happen in the movie are just outrageously funny. It's got a great cast. I mean, Kirsten Dunst is in it.
Yeah.
Brittany Murphy's in it. Amy Adams is in it. Kirstie Alley,
Wow.
Allison Janney, Ellen Barkin. I mean, it's just got a great cast, and really just how they spoof the whole industry is just it's hilarious. And even from the judges that they pick these. One guy owns a lawn care store, like he's really qualified. One of them's a borderline child predator.
Oh,
Another one just she's a librarian or something at a high school. People that are not qualified to be judges at all. It's just so stupid and ludicrous. I had to put it on here. Number 9, I do have the Green Mile here, Doc.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the movie. You know, I do love to watch it when it does come on. And you spoke highly of the cast. The cast is really good in there, and it's amazing how they were able to craft that short story into something that had a lot more substance to it, and you got really character driven. Something that I thought was kind of missing in the novel itself. I thought they did a really good job. Frank Darabont, right? I think he was the director.
That's it.
Yeah, he brought it to life and he gave it a lot of character. Michael Clark Duncan, like I said, R.I.P. to him. He did a fantastic job in this. Probably as close as he was going to get to having a dramatic role where he wasn't kind of pigeonholed into these big macho type of roles that he kind of got pigeonholed into. Number 8 for me, I have The Matrix here, Doc. Sorry,
Hey,
I like the movie, and I will always watch it when it comes on. I do. I like a lot of the biblical references that are in the movie. They've got Neo, which is, if you scramble the words around, of course, means the one. Trinity, they ride a ship called the Nebuchadnezzar, and there's Morpheus, and the guy who portrays them is Cypher, Lucifer. It's all sorts of weird, biblical type of stuff that are all kind of thrown in there, and makes you kind of think that all those things are just fabrications of you while you're sleeping, in the Matrix, that type of thing. It makes you think that all those things were just kind of made up for the Matrix to allow you to accept it as it was. So really cool movie though. The Wachowski brothers, I thought groundbreaking special effects for the time. So
totally.
number 7, I've got Office Space. Mike Judge here. I know it's
Yep.
not humor for everybody, but anybody who's ever kind of worked in an office environment, Doc, you probably have come closer than any of the three
Yep.
of us here, can really sympathize with just the terrible red tape that's involved in working in that type of atmosphere, and the stupid things that supervisors will ask you to do, and constant changes that actually mean nothing for the benefit of the company, all sorts of things like that. Mike Judge kind of puts all that into the forefront, and it's really dry humor, but if you really pay attention to it, it's just absolutely funny. The funniest guy in there is Stephen Root's character, who's this little mumbly little guy who's always
Yeah.
constantly being shit on by the bosses and stuff, and he's always threatening to burn the place down. Well, guess what? At the end, somebody burned the damn place down, and I have a pretty good idea probably who that was. But so number 6 for me, this is where I've got Summer of Sam. This was like when we
Cool.
talking about movies that I love Spike Lee movies. I think probably the only flaw that I had with this movie is why it wouldn't be higher. Is a lot of Spike Lee's movies always ended on a really high note, they ended on the crescendo, like in Do the Right Thing,
Yeah.
or even 25th Hour, and in some ways, Summer of Sam just kind of ended, and it just
That was it.
felt like it was just a slice of life type of thing, and then you were in and you were out. It didn't really kind of like have a big bang at the end. But the acting I thought was really good. I loved Leguizamo in it, and Mira Sorvino, and Adrian Brody, who's a punk rocker who's trying
That's
to,
right.
be who he is, even though his friends are giving him shit about it. All these things are happening parallel to the murders in 1977 in New York City. And but Spike makes it interesting and gives you that information at the same time. He's really good at that. He goes on to do something similar like that with 9/11 and people's lives in 25th Hour. He's just a great storyteller. What number am I on now? Number 5, right?
Yep.
Man on the Moon. I got Man on
There
the
you
Moon
go.
right here. I agree with Doc on all of his points. Nobody could have played this role other than Jim Carrey. I almost think that they set out to make this movie while they knew Jim Carrey was like a name that they could really market this, because if they'd have waited much longer, they may not have been able to pull this movie off. But uh, I also love it obviously because REM had a couple songs on the soundtrack, The Great Beyond, and then of course the title track, Man on the Moon, which probably is where they got the title. A little bit of credit to REM here. Go. And yeah, all around great movie. I love Paul Giamatti as the little sidekick that kind of was always in on the jokes that Andy would pull, and absolutely great. Number 4 for me, I've got Magnolia.
Wow.
This is one I rewatched here lately. And this is what I want to say. Besides a really great all-star cast, I like it because it's a bunch of characters and they're interrelated, but it's not all immediately apparent how they're interrelated. All these things that come together to kind of give you the story, and they all got various things that they're kind of working through. But I'm going to think that it's got Philip Seymour Hoffman in it and various other ones, but I think this is Tom Cruise's best acting performance of his career. Now he's in a lot of movies, but a lot of movies he's just being Tom. But this is Tom doing some quality acting, and that's why I really moved it up here. This time when I watched it again, really had a deep appreciation for the movie. I thought it was put together really well. I know it's kind of based on Amy Lee, right? Some of her songs. I mean,
Amy
the
Mann.
script was Amy Mann. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. That's a good catch. So I wanted to put it a little bit higher. So number 3, I've got The Sixth Sense right here, Doc. I agree with it. I didn't know whether it was going to make the list again because it's one of those movies where okay, now the ending. Is it a rewatchable thing? It is. It's still a rewatchable thing. It's still very enjoyable. Bruce Willis does a really good job. Maybe his second best, acting of his career, I would say.
Armageddon is number 1.
No, I definitely
Oh.
not. Definitely nothing in Die Hard either. But it is what it is. But no, I mean it's a good movie. It kind of brings you through, the turmoil of this little kid in a very science fiction type horror manner, and at the same time, it's got a lot of great things going on between Bruce and his wife, and then you start learning like stories of the ghosts that the kids actually like seeing and stuff. That all those personal drama dynamics, I think, give it a little bit of substance. Number 2, I've got Fight Club right here. I know but where'd you have it, Doc?
I had number 4.
Number 4, yeah. I mean, I like the movie. I think David Fincher does a great job in it. The acting's really good from Helena Bonham Carter.
I said Lynch.
Even got our boy Meatloaf like playing a small role in it. I kind of my favorite scene in it. A lot of in it. Well, I think it's a lot about people dealing with complacency and inner turmoil in their life, and like their ability to kind of branch out and deal with things. Maybe my favorite scene in it is when Ed Norton just says he beats the living shit out of Jared Leto's character, and he just said, "I just felt like destroying something beautiful today." And maybe that's like in society, sometimes I think that we get so angry at how bad our lives are that maybe that's true. Maybe we just want to destroy something beautiful one day, just to like let some of that anger out. So maybe touching upon some primal thing in our lives. So, worst movie. You had a good one, Doc. It's
Thanks,
hard
man.
to argue that. That's just really, when you base it on a TV show or anything like that, then it's really. So this one's going to follow right in that line. I've got Dudley Do Right, Brendan Fraser. I mean, come on. I mean, it's. I know he disappeared from Hollywood for some personal reasons and some, that now being addressed. But I got to think he was hitting a run of movies that were so putrid. I didn't think he was going to last much longer anyway. Lords of the Jungle, and then this. I didn't even like the goddamn cartoon when it was out when I was a kid.
No,
there was no way I was going to like this live action film. It's terrible. Terrible. Don't see it, anybody. Don't see it at all. Number one for me, I have the Cider House Rules here. I know this
Nice.
is maybe, a different kind of choice, but I like the drama in it. I like the laid back style of it. I think Michael Caine's character is really great in it, and Toby Maguire does a really fantastic job in it as well. I mean, it's about, it's a boy who's like, he's in an orphanage home, but he's being taught at the same time as he's getting older. He's being taught by a doctor who actually performs abortions in his clinic.
Abortions.
Yeah, that he's being taught by this doctor how to do various types of things, medical things. But one of the few things he doesn't ever want to do, of course, is perform abortions and stuff. And it's about him coming of age. He falls in love with a girl that comes through on an apple farm. Is it Charlize Theron?
It's Charlie's there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Charlize Theron, whose boyfriend Paul Rudd, I think, goes away to war.
that's
And
right.
and he falls in love with her, and they have this little affair and everything. And then kind of real life kind of sets in when Paul comes back from the war. And it's about coming of age and growing up a little bit, and facing some of the hardships of life. And I really enjoyed it. I think Delroy Lindo's character in it, very interesting character. You find out he's sexually abusing his daughter, and there's some lot of great narratives in it. I really appreciate the movie, so that's my number one.
Very cool.
Very good.
The one movie I want to shout out is the one that didn't make my list is Magnolia. I gave this a lot of thought too. I haven't watched it in a few years, but I agree with you 100%. Tom Cruise's best performance, hands down. Uh, he puts everything into that role.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. I like the soundtrack of Amy Mann. The one thing that stopped me was those goddamn frogs raining down.
Yeah.
That that's when I said, what the heck, man? I can't put this on my list, but I appreciate the movie and I like that kind of filmmaking where you're taking all these like 11 or 12 different characters.
Yeah.
They all have a meeting point at some time.
Right. At some point, their paths have crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
like that kind of style of filmmaking. It reminds me of Robert Altman. He does that kind of film. Paul Thomas Anderson, who did this,
Yeah.
is another one of those. So uh, I like it being on the list. It just barely missed mine for that one reason of the frogs. But
The
again,
frogs is a good reason, Rich. The frogs is a good reason for like a movie. Not making it. I could
that's
see.
like the only reason I can come up with, and frogs are my
The only
favorite
the only
animal.
way it could be worse is if the frogs had sunglasses and were in the Matrix.
They had to have 5,000 frogs for that scene, and then the cars running them over. They're jumping on the windshield.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
disturbing to me.
That
The
was a
very
little
first frog really
that was
freaked out John
surreal.
C.
I
Reilly.
admit that scene was very surreal.
It was.
Oh yeah.
And I understand it's I think it's a biblical reference of raining
Yeah.
animals or whatever the hell. It's just anything's possible. It came out of nowhere. Whatever. And I love the cast. Jason Robards, his last role, I believe. He was dying when they made that film.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's great in it. I like Julianne Moore in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman is the nurse.
Philip Baker Hall is in it as
Philip
well.
Baker Hall,
Yeah.
who recently
That's right.
died.
Yeah.
Great. But Cruise just he's awesome in that film. And he was the game show host, Philip Baker Hall, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, he
Yep.
was.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good film. All right, I'm going to jump in here. My number 10 is your number one, actually, the Cider House Rules. I had it on here for pretty much everything you said. I like the story, the coming of age story. I'm a sucker for that. This is the one that just barely eked out over October Sky. They were in the running for that spot. I like both of them. It's kind of old-fashioned filmmaking with the different storylines, the Paul Rudd characters off the war, the Delroy Lindo character as well. Michael Caine's great in this movie. And of course, Toby Maguire, it's really his film. It's his story. Americana kind of piece where he's growing up in the orphanage and he's learning his trade from the doctor. And then he works on the apple farm here, the orchard or whatever. And there's a lot to say. It tackles incest, like you mentioned, and illegal abortions. Solid film. Number 10. Number 9. This is kind of a weird choice for me, but I took The Straight Story, David Lynch's movie about the guy riding the tractor from Like Richard Farnsworth, he's riding a tractor 240 miles because he doesn't have a driver's license from Iowa to Wisconsin to see his elderly brother who's dying. They're trying to make amends. Richard Farnsworth, an excellent performance here. It's not the usual David Lynch surreal kind of edgy movie. This is kind of a straightforward drama, offbeat nonetheless. But I really got into the lead character and what he was doing. So Sissy Spacek plays like a semi, I wouldn't say brain damage, but she's kind of slow, daughter of Farnsworth. So it's good character study. Not your typical David Lynch. If you're into Eraserhead and Blue Velvet, you're not going to find that here. This is sort of where he takes the mainstream and kind of a dull movie, but at the same time, it's very effective. Middle America. Number 8, I had to put it on the list. We talked about it off camera that it was overrated as Best Picture winner, and that's American Beauty. Kevin Spacey, what's happened to him in the last few years has really dampened my love for this movie. I hate to say it, but it's a fact. I just can't take his character seriously anymore than anything I see him in because I know what's going on in his private life. I mean, you hate to be judgmental, but he did it to himself. It's a guy having a midlife crisis. The family's sort of fractured. Annette Bening plays his wife. She's more of a go-getter with the real estate business. She's having an affair. He starts declining a little bit. He's working out with weights. He's smoking pot. He's listening to rock music. He's kind of living the teen years that he had 25 years ago. And he starts having an eyeball on his daughter's girlfriend. And that whole scene takes place. Chris Cooper, who's this latent homosexual across the road, he sees him working out with weights and he suspects his son's involved with him. There's all kinds of plot lines in this movie. Kind of a dark look at suburbia, very dysfunctional. The teenage lust and all that stuff, all lying below the surface of suburbia. There's a lot to say in it. But like I said, the Spacey thing really bothers me now in retrospect. I don't think the film holds up as well as it did when it first came out. My number, I guess this is 7, is Boys Don't Cry. This is the Hilary Swank movie where she plays the transgender teen. Yep. Brendan Tina gives a wonderful performance. It's a true story. She was actually raped and murdered because of her lifestyle. I remember seeing her on, I think it was Phil Donahue or one of the talk shows back then, the real Brenda Tina. And, she had a story to tell, and eventually she was murdered for her lifestyle. Like I said, Hilary Swank, one of the great actresses, underrated in a way. We shouted her out in $1 Million Baby before, where she's great as the boxer. I like her in Insomnia, where she plays a detective, and she's currently
right.
A TV show called Alaska Daily, which I've been watching, and she's pretty good in that too. Number 6, I have Girl Interrupted. Another one of these mental illness kind of this, played by Winona Ryder. She's attempted suicide. She's institutionalized. This happens in the late 60s, I believe. And she meets all these other girls who have different degrees of psychosis, neurosis, whatever. It's kind of a female One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Angelina Jolie steals the film as the girl she meets in there. She's kind of a ringleader, very outgoing. Brittany Murphy appears in here as well. Elizabeth Moss, one of her early roles. She's in this. Jared Leto is the boyfriend. Whoopi Goldberg is one of the nurses. It's a good showcase for female talent that was coming up. A lot of those young actresses made careers. Unfortunately, Brittany Murphy died much too soon. That was number 6. Number 5, I have Being John Malkovich, an odd movie if there ever was one.
Yeah.
About this puppeteer played by John Cusack, who finds this portal and he enters the brain or the mind of actor John Malkovich. Very bizarre, risk-taking premise. And I think it works more if you see it beyond the first time. If you repeat watching it and go with it a little bit, it's unconventional, it's unpredictable. You have to leave logic at the door. It's not a cookie cutter formula kind of picture, but I like it. Cameron Diaz is very good as his girlfriend, a zookeeper kind of girl. She has a pet store, I should say. And Malkovich appears as well as himself. I like Catherine Keener here. Great actress, and she plays the object of Cusack's affection. Number 4 is The Talented Mr. Ripley, another movie I like. psychological thriller with a great cast. Matt Damon as this underachieving kind of wannabe guy. He likes the idea of being rich and I wouldn't say famous, but living the lifestyle on the yachts with all the glamour and this and that. And he tries to put himself in there and become friendly with Jude Law, who's that kind of guy.
That's
And
right.
makes a play on Gwyneth Paltrow, and you got Philip Seymour Hoffman as this wild friend of theirs who's a real character. Good psychological thriller. There's a lot of darkness behind the scenes here with Damon's character. I don't think he's comfortable in his own skin. In fact, there's he's just like he's a sociopath, is what I would call him. There's a quote where he says, "I'd rather be a fake somebody than a nobody," and that's basically what he does in the movie. Number 3 is The Green Mile. Big fan of that. Every time it's on, I'll probably watch it. I really enjoy the interplay between the guys at work in the prison there. Tom Hanks, David Morse, Barry Peppers along for the ride as well. Sam Rockwell, tremendous as the Buffalo Bill guy, or is that what his name is? Bad guy in the movie.
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
He's got the yellow teeth, and he's spitting at people, and everything uncouth he does.
Nasty.
Just a nasty person. Michael Clark Duncan, you guys both mentioned him. Great acting performance of a lifetime for him. Unfortunately, he died way too young. Gary Sinise is in this in a small role.
That's right.
Bonnie Hunt plays Hanks's wife. She's good too. I just like the guys going to work, doing their job. You know, they have the little interplay between them, and Michael Clark Duncan has that special healing power and that type of thing where he cures the urinary tract infection of Hanks, and he takes the goodness out of people. He brings a mouse back to life, Mr. Jingles, which is cool. There's that scene with that dry sponge, which is not for the faint of heart.
No way.
That's a tough one to watch, man. That whole room there goes berserk. But that's my number 3, directed by Frank Darabont, who did the great Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank.
Yeah.
Great films. My number 2, this is a personal film that I absolutely love and nobody else does. Eyes Wide Shut, directed by Stanley Kubrick. I absolutely love this movie. I don't know why. Maybe because I've seen it 50 times, but Kubrick's last film, just an exploration inside this couple's marriage, fantasy, reality. He gets involved with this underground private society, this mansion where you have to go in costume and mask, and there's an orgy going on, and anonymous sex. It's just a wild ride. Sexual discovery. It's about jealousy and trust and fantasy, infidelity, communication within a marriage. They're not really talking about what each other needs at some point until the very end, which I won't get into. A great use of music, very minimalistic music, where the piano comes in when the tension's building, a lot like Halloween, but a different style. I like everything about it. And I didn't know until the last few days that originally the cast was Harvey Keitel and Jennifer Jason Leigh were supposed to play that couple.
Wow.
And Kubrick auditioned them, didn't like them, and dismissed them, and then brought in Cruise and Kidman. So that's the name of that. And I think he made a wise choice, although it ruined their marriage. They divorced shortly thereafter. But I think it took 3 years out of their lives to film this, between Kubrick's health and
Really
just his obsessive style of getting everything right. That's the way he was. He made 11 or 12 pictures in his whole career. So it takes a while for him to get going. Worst pick. Shout out, Brian. Dudley Do Right. I had it. I could not believe. I swear to God, right here. Read it. I don't know if you can see it. It's Dudley Do Right. I hate Brendan Fraser as an actor. I think he's horrible in everything I've ever seen him in. This is a cartoon from the 60s, Canadian Mounted Police kind of thing, where Dudley Do Right. In the cartoon, he was saving Nell from the tracks and stuff. Snidely Whiplash is the villain, played by Alfred Molina. Sarah Jessica Parker plays Nell. Just an insane, unnecessary, pointless piece of crap. There's no reason to turn this into a movie. But if you notice, a lot of the cartoons of the 60s, they started making movies. Mr. Magoo,
Yeah.
Casper the Friendly Ghost, the Flintstones,
Yeah.
Underdog, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Richie Rich. They all had movies made out of it. You know,
Really?
why? That's all I can say is why. My number one, my number one, The Sixth Sense. Yes, it was shot in Philly. I know, but I love the story. A thriller, kind of a horror film. I think Bruce Willis. My favorite two Bruce Willis performances are here and Pulp Fiction. I like these two the best because there's not doing his usual running around, flexing his muscles. He's acting, and that's what I like about it. Haley Joel Osment, a great child performance. Toni Collette as the wife, as the mother, excuse me, and Olivia Williams as the wife, and
That's right.
that
Yep.
ring with the payoff. And we're not going to get into that, but this is a kid who sees dead people. He visits the shrink, played by Willis, to help him cope and figure out his issues. Very stylistic. It's just well crafted, detailed, eerie at times under the tent with those kids that he sees. Remember those scenes?
Oh, that was just
Oh my God. Just
Totally.
so bad. The mother doing something to her daughter late in the movie that
yeah, but she was poisoning her with arsenic. Oh,
they get it on film. There's all this stuff comes together at the funeral, and it's just well made. It's well written, well acted, great performances by the three leads here: Willis, Osment, and Collette. The killer ending, and I think it's one of the gems of the '90s. This is the one film from this year that I would say still holds up. You can know the ending going in, and you can still get some enjoyment out of watching it. The two trifectas were The Green Mile and The Sixth Sense. So we had two this particular year. The one movie that I need to see that I mentioned off camera that I didn't say it by name, but The Insider is one that I couldn't get into it when I watched it. I never revisited. I know it's Michael Mann and Pacino and Crow. I need to see that again. It didn't make my list. And Fight Club is just one that never really worked for me. And most people love it. A lot of people would say it's the best movie of this year, and I just don't see it.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, David Lynch, and it's David Fincher. So
David
when you
Fincher,
said that,
right.
yeah, it was David Fincher's movie,
Exactly.
but also another twisters and stuff but it has that feel from Seven and stuff like that in there. You can see it's a darkish kind of movie too. So
My two runners up, close to making, like I mentioned, October Sky and Magnolia. I also like Arlington Road. That's a disturbing movie with Tim Robbins and Jeff Bridges. I like that movie about a bomber.
I had October Sky and Dogma. Kevin
Dogma,
Smith.
I have down.
Yeah, Kevin Smith's movie I thought was excellent, but I just didn't make it.
Yeah.
I had The Talented Mr. Ripley as well. And Magnolia, it's okay for me. It's not going to make my list. And Eyes Wide Shut would have probably ended up on a different list for me then.
Yeah, a lot of people. But
no, listen, it's Kubrick, right? I mean, I can sit here and bash it or something like that. I'm not going to, but it's just not I could give my reasons why, but it would just be.
There's some elements in there that I really am drawn to. I'll put it that way.
Oh, sure. Look, it's shot really well and stuff like that. There's no getting around that.
Well, I have a curiosity about that kind of thing with the marriages are going wrong. I should have been a marriage counselor, but I always wonder why people just can't talk and communicate instead of looking for other things. Or he was into this voyeuristic kind of thing, and she was fantasizing about some Navy soldier that she had a dream about, and she's trying to tell him, that it was a real thing, and he's all screwed up over it. And there was a lot of jealousy and taunting and all kinds of mind games being played between the two of them. So that's that. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Interesting to end up with only two trifectas on our last.
Rare for us.
Here. Rare. We usually are 3, 4, 5 in that range every single time. But
yes.
Anyway, this was like I said at the beginning, a fantastic series we've done. I was looking at today the number, just raw numbers. 41 videos of music on Brian's channel of this series, 20 on mine. So that's 61 movies right there. Plus, we've done another 40 plus movies when we did the decade
Mhm.
That's
and
right.
the categories. So that we're over 100 times filming together in the last 2 years. Not to mention the recasting. We
Right.
did Hitchcock. We did
That's
Paul
right.
Newman. Remember the Paul? We did all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
So just incredible that like 3 years ago we didn't even know who each other at all. We never
No,
came across each other. And I want to give a shout out to Reactions to the Classics, because if it wasn't for their channel,
most definitely.
us meeting in the chat, we never would have had this common interest. Brian and I initially started this Credence video a long time ago, and then we talked before and after about, you think we could pull Doc in to do some movies and this and that, and then you contact. I didn't want to get shot down, so I didn't ask. I had Brian do the dirty work, and he said, Doc's a go. I said, oh man, I can't believe it. Then here we are, years later.
Yep.
Just all these videos behind us, and we have a lot more to go. We want to change the formula a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
It gets a little stale when you do 8, 9, 10 months of the same thing. I know the people like it, certain people like it. We like doing it, but we want to change it up and look for different ways to bring some material to people out there. Still do movies, still do music. Who knows what we have in store? We'll talk about it as we go on. On my channel, I'm going to take a little bit of a hiatus until January, just to get some rest, take some of the stress off, because I've been on the go for 2 years now, making 4 or 5 videos a week, and I just need a little bit of a breather. Brian is still going to do things on his channel.
Just every other week and through the holidays. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Yep.
So you may see me and Doc on there just every couple of weeks till the holidays. Then we're going to gather some steam, maybe bring some other people in and challenge ourselves with a new volume of stuff. So it's been great, guys. Thanks a lot for doing this with me. It really has enriched my life. I hate to sound too serious about it, but I don't know what I'd be doing the last 2 years if I wasn't doing this stuff. I'm dead serious. I need this to energize my own life. So it's been wonderful. That's all I can say.
No problem. I like it.
You know, it's been great.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast. It's energizes my life too, buddy. You know, I like that.
Yeah, we all
the
need
days
a
of everyday
purpose.
life and everything else. This is right in a sweet spot for me to talk about these kind of things with some friends that you've met like over the last couple of years, and it's growing a great bond that's come with it. So it's easy to talk to good people and turn out to be good friends. So easy for me, buddy.
Awesome. And even Doc and I have done some sports things, which I never released. We did a whole series of top 20
That's right.
baseball players, just as a side note. And then the season got started, and I ended up holding on to them. So and we're in a fantasy football league together. There's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, us three are in contention.
Yeah, we're still
Yes,
fighting it
yeah,
out.
we're
Us
hanging
three are
around
all
still.
still in the mix.
Yeah, we're still hanging around.
That's right. Yeah, the rest of them are trying to game where we're at and see if they can do it. But it's been a blast. Check out Brian's channel, Massey's Main Entertainment. All the episodes we've done music wise are on there. All the movie stuff's been on mine. Check out Brian and I also on Fridays. We do the CD exchange with Glenn Kellaway and Randy Nelson. That's been a nice new enterprise we started. We're going up to our 7th episode of that. So they're on my channel. Check out the playlist, and we appreciate anybody that wants to watch, subscribe, and of course comment. Leave some comments on 1999 too. We'd like to see your final list, if you will, of 1999 and what your top 10 were. So for Doc and Brian, this is Rich. We'll see you in our next venue. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.